Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Mirage Knight, and I am new to the YugiTubing scene. I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about myself. This is my first video, so um, some things I like to do besides play Yu-Gi-Oh is I like to go longboarding. I'm in college, and I just want to get my name out there a little bit. Um, I think I have a lot to offer. So what you're seeing right now is my deck profile for the Super Heavy Samurais, which is the deck that I like to play. I'm not too big into the meta, so you probably won't see a ton of meta videos um, for me. But I like to please. So whatever you guys want, I'll do. I'll do deck profiles and openings. I'm probably not going to do any openings like Simply Unlucky or something like that. Where I'm buying boxes and when I just don't have the money. But like if I order cards um, online, I'll open those up on camera and share those with you, just to have a little bit of fun, just so you guys can keep up with what I'm purchasing, and I'll do discussions. I'll do a lot of discussions. I love talking about the game. Um, so for my first video, I thought I'd just do a deck profile and a quick little discussion on the Super Heavy Samurais, which right now is my favorite deck to play. I think it's really fun. It's very skillful. It's definitely difficult to pilot, but I feel if you give it enough practice and you practice with it and you get to know the cards, you really feel a connection with the deck. The deck has an amazing lore and everything like that. So I'm going to get into the deck profile, and I'm going to be looking at my big screen, um, so you guys can see my head. It's turning like that. It's because I'm looking at my big monitor. So I probably won't be looking directly into the camera for some of these videos, maybe a lot of them. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, a lot of discussion videos, deck profiles, um, and maybe some ranty stuff. I know how you guys love the rants about people in the community, and decks and the way that Konami is running the game, um, and things of that nature. So without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. Um, right now, I'm probably just not going to go over everything in too much depth because most of you guys probably know what a lot of these cards do. So let's just see where it goes. So first off, we run two copies of Big Benkei, Big Booty Benkei. He's pretty fun. And then one copy of Machina Fortress. This card is just good to have. Can't imagine why you wouldn't run it. Two giant rats for obvious reasons. Bring out Benkei real easy. And people see giant rat and they're like, "What the hell is this guy running?" And then little do they know, I have Benkei. So they attack in a giant rat, and then I summon Benkei, and they're like, "Oh, shit." It's it's funny. It's funny to see. Um, three copies of Soul Piercer. Yeah, he's basically Deneb. Actually, this deck actually has a huge engine, but like it's made up of lots of little different engines. So I think it's really cool how some of the cards actually mimic some other cards. So this is like Deneb, this is Vega, and Scales is Altair. So it's like that three card thing where you use Deneb, search out Altair, Altair summons Deneb, you overlay. So this is like the little rank 4 engine that we have going here. So this searches, this summons from your hand, and also it's really nasty too because your opponent can't target it for any other, or opponent cannot target any other monsters you control for attacks other than him. So him plus if he can't be destroyed by battle, like he just protects all your monsters. It's really really fun to watch your opponent squirm and just be like, oh man, I can't attack anything but that can't be destroyed, so I can't attack basically at all. Something this deck does well. And this card is really nice. I'm sure you guys know what these cards do and their effects, so I'm just going to skip over them. But this is the rank 4 engine. One Birdman for obvious reasons. It's just a great tuner. Like if you want to make Trish, or if you want to make any really level 9 synchro. I run two level 9 synchros obviously, but if you want to make Trish real quick, um, you can use Birdman. Really really great tuner. I wish it was at 2. If it was at 2, I'd be really excited, but it's good at 1. It's searchable with Gear Gigant X, so I'm not complaining. Two copies of Flying Sea. I main deck Flying Sea because it just is so good in the game right now against Raid Raptors, Phantom Knights, Super Quantums. It's just like Fuzzy Lanius. Okay, Flying Sea. Silent Boots, Flying Sea. You know, Blue Layer, Flying Sea. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't do anything. And I don't think any of them like actually run legit tuners. So they can't even synchro with Flying Sea. So they're just Exceed based. So like that's 3 decks right there that are just like screw you, Flying Sea. Then 3 copies of Flutist, which is basically Solemn Strike in the graveyard. Really, really great. It's just super, super protection. That's one thing that the deck really does well is it protects its monsters. Um, so it builds advantage off of protection and wasting your opponent's resources while you just don't use any resources and just get like use Giant Rat and get Benkei, like free 3,500 beat stick. It's ridiculous. 1 copy of Steadfast. This card is searchable, so I'm not really running 2, but it's a great card when you take battle damage. You just plop it down on the field. It's like Gores. So yeah, so we have the Stellarknight engine. We have Gores. Um, it's pretty fun. This card is really, really awesome. This card, we discard it. It saves a super heavy from battle or by card effects for the rest of the turn, like it can't be destroyed. But also its secondary effect is you can equip it from your field or your hand to a super heavy and it becomes a level 5 monster for specific reasons. Infinity. Lamau. So this deck actually can make Cyber Dragon Infinity pretty consistently. Then 2 copies of Soulshine Claw, which is the MVP of the deck. It has so many purposes. Like I said, stopping your opponent from attacking, essentially. Boosting up monsters like Shutendoji, which typically you're going to search this out. Boost up Shutendoji, blow up your opponent's back row, and then you have a 35 indestructible beat stick on your side of the field. Also, you can unequip it and special summon it, so you can actually use this with Soul Claw or with Soulfire Suit and use it as overlay material with Musha C. So it's just absolutely bonkers. This card is just so good, and the fact that it's just a searchable, like this card, I would equate this card actually to Sacrifice. Though you don't get to search with it, Sacrifice is actually in this deck. It's split up between Soul Piercer and the Soulshine Claw because they both act as equip cards. This searches and this protects it from battle. So this is really, really nice. So actually these 2 cards together are basically Sacrifice. So that's another thing that you can equate this to. Next up is 2 copies of Max C for obvious reasons. You guys don't need any explanation on that. 3 Trumpeteer. This card is absolutely bonkers. Unfortunately, it does have the restriction that if you use its effect to special summon, you can't special summon any monsters other than super heavies for the rest of the turn. But like if you have no spells or traps in your grave, you can special summon this straight from your hand. So in a way, this is a lot like any of the Burning Abyss monsters where if you have nothing in your back row, you can special summon them straight from your hand. But the better thing about this is, even though it's a little bit more restrictive than the Burning Abyss monsters, this has no limit to the amount of times you can special summon it from your hand. So you can special summon, special summon, special summon. You can just keep going on and keep synchroing with him. If you keep recycling him, you can special him like 3 times in one turn, make 3 big synchros. Like, there's no reason why you wouldn't run 3 of this guy. And then 2 of him, he's a dark monster, so you can actually run Beals. But aside from that, he's really, really great because I love taking my opponent's monsters. It's a great way to get around Beals. It's a great way to get around El Shaddoll Construct if Construct was still around. It's a great way to get out around big level 8 monsters and problematic level 4 monsters like I don't know, any of the Light Sworns would do just fine for that example. The only downside is you can't use him for obviously you can't use him with Exceeds because you can't synchro with Exceeds, but even more awful than that is you can't use him with Pendulum monsters because if that Pendulum monster is sent to the extra deck, it's not sent to the graveyard, which is a condition of this card. So both this card and that monster have to be sent to the graveyard. Also, if your opponent has like Macro on the field or D-Fisher, you can't use this card won't work either because this card has to be sent to the graveyard as well. So that's the only downside is that they have to be both have to be sent to the graveyard. But other than that, it's an excellent tuner. And this card you can also use to make Trish. This card is a Monster Reborn essentially for super heavy. So one of those is really good to have in tight situations. Double Soul Gauntlet It's honest for the deck. I'd run 3, but you know what? It works really with super heavies. And a lot of the time you can make a lot of exceeds, and exceeds really help the deck flourish. So it's a great card to have when you're pushing for game, but it's a dead draw right in the beginning. So I really wouldn't run this card at 3, just because, I mean, it's good, but it's not as good as it could be. But Honest only works with light monsters, and this is just absolutely bonkers. So definitely 2 of these. Double Effect Veiler for obvious reasons. And then this is a new card that's in the OCG still. It hasn't come out yet. It's called Daunting Pose. And I'll read you the effect. Target one face-up defense position monster on the field, and its defense becomes double its current defense. So you can imagine that a juiced-up Shutendoji or a juiced-up Beast QB can just get huge real quick. But its defense does become 0 until the end of the turn. And then also you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one monster you control, and this turn your opponent can only attack that target, and you can only activate 1 Daunting Pose per turn. So you can't chain them to each other, unfortunately, but because otherwise it would be broken. But at the same time, you can activate both of its effects, its field effect and its graveyard effect, during the same turn. And then an upside is this card can actually stop your opponent from attacking altogether. If you have Magnet on the field, and this, and say any other monster, Magnet says you can't target other monsters, not necessarily other super heavies. So if you activate this out of the grave and you pick another monster other than Magnet, your opponent can't attack at all. And also if you activate this card in response to like a Castel or Silent Honorarch or the Ignister or anything that would remove a monster from the field, or Cyber Dragon Infinity, any card that would remove a monster from the field, you can activate this in response to out of the graveyard, and then your opponent basically can't attack other monsters other than the target for this card, so they can't attack if that card's not on the field. Does that make sense? So that's really, really nice. And then triple breakthrough skill for obvious reasons. Onto the extra deck, we run 1 Castel, 1 Gear Gigant X, 1 number 39 Utopia, 1 Cyber Dragon Nova, 1 Utopia the Lightning, and 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity. Those are the exceeds. Obviously, for monster removal, this card searches out just about everything in the deck, so one of him, and he's recyclable with Musha C. Any machine in your graveyard is recyclable with Musha C, so it's really good. This is basically like running 3 copies of Gear Gigant X if he would be sent to the graveyard. Utopia into Utopia Lightning just to finish off games, and then Nova into Cyber Dragon Infinity to make your opponent cry. This card is really good for making Cyber Dragon Infinity. Also, he can recycle Soul Piercer, so it's really, really nice. You can get double searches out, triple searches out using this card and using it to make Cyber Dragon Infinity, because this card, if it would be sent from the field to the graveyard, not necessarily from, as a monster to the graveyard or as an equip card to the graveyard, or has to be destroyed. If it's just on the field, it's sent to the graveyard, it gets its effect just like Sacrifice. So that's really, really awesome. Triple Harpy's Feather Duster. This card is absolutely broken. This card actually only shares its text with 2 other cards in the game, being Harpy's Feather Duster and Dark Magic Attack. So it's one of 3 cards in the game that says destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. Then 2 copies of Beast QB, arguably the strongest super heavy samurai in the game right now. It gains 900 defense for every special summon monster your opponent controls, so it can actually get juiced up to 7,000 max by its own effect. And then plus, if you add Daunting Pose on top of that, your opponent can actually you can just one-shot your opponent with this card if they have, 5 special summon monsters on the field, and any of them in attack position, and then you just juice it up to 14k. Like, that is a big, big monster. And then Susanoo is just absolutely bonkers. You can steal any back row out of your opponent's graveyard. That's Solemn, Bottomless, Fiendish Chain, Monster Reborn if you're not playing in regular format. Just absolutely anything. It's really great against Monarchs because you can steal their first Monarchs. You can steal their Pantheism before they use it. It's absolutely ridiculous, and you can just take all the advantage, all the graveyard advantage from your opponent, especially in Monarchs, where they banish their spells and traps out of their grave in order to gain effects and gain advantage. So this card is absolutely the nuts. And with a 3,800 booty, I don't understand why people just don't play Super Heavy Samurais. Maybe they just don't like it. I don't know. But like, what other deck can you think of that main decks a 3,500 beat stick and can get it out for relatively cheap using Giant Rat, Flutist, or you can tribute summon it using Trumpeteer. Trumpeteer actually has a secondary effect that if it's tributed if it's tributed for a tribute summon of a Super Heavy Samurai monster, being Benkei or any other like big monster, you can actually special summon him back from the graveyard by his own effect. So he's impervious to Necro Valley in that sense, where you can actually just blow up stuff. If Necro Valley's on the field, you can actually bust out a Susanoo and just steal an MST or something along those lines. So next up, we're running in our side deck. We're running 2 copies of Galaxy Cyclone. It's really up to your discretion because we also run Triple Thief. So Galaxy Cyclone, yeah, it's a great card, a little expensive, don't really need it. Another Soulbuster Gauntlet, a 3rd Flying Sea, because if I'm going to be I'd rather stop the Exceed summons rather than draw off of them with Maxi. I'd rather just stop them rather than gain or draw off of them, because if you don't stop the Exceed summon, there's not really a lot you can do from your hand to just stop mass Exceeds. I'd rather just stop it to begin with. So a 3rd Flying Sea, 2 copies of the End of Anubis. I feel like this card is very, very underrated, but we run 2 for very specific reasons. Not really. It just stops everything in the graveyard, and I think that's absolutely beautiful. 2 copies of Fog King for Monarchs, 2 copies of Chaos Hunter for Cosmos, 2 copies of Gamecill, just for everything. If there's a problem monster on the field, you just tribute it. And also a really nice combo you can make with Gamecill, because it's a level 8. You can tribute one of your opponent's monsters for Gamecill, and then you can summon Battle Ball and use your Gamecill as the synchro material. So that's really nice. So you can actually summon Gamecill, get rid of your opponent's larger monsters, and then use it as synchro material to make Susanoo, and then steal their back row. So that is one hell of a combo that you can side in, especially against like Super Quantums, like with Great Magnus or Cyber Dragon Infinity, or Ultimate Falcon. You can get rid of a lot of stuff and make your opponent just. I would, if someone that did that to me and did that combo, I'd probably just surrender right then and there. And then Triple Thief, this card is really, really awesome. It has the same restriction as Trumpeteer, where if you have no spells or traps in your grave, you can special summon it, but you can't special summon any other monsters other than Super Heavies for the rest of the turn. But you can tribute him to steal one of your opponent's back row or one of their pendulum zones, and then set it either in your back row or in your pendulum zone, or activate it in your pendulum zone. So you can actually break your opponent's scales with it, and then also you can steal their back row. It's impervious to Fiendish Chain. It's impervious to Skill Drain. So Skill Drain and Fiendish Chain, anything that would negate mass monster effects or lose 1 turn. You can actually just steal their lose 1 turn. You can steal their Skill Drain. You can steal their Fiendish Chain and just take it. And that's really good because when they flip up that Fiendish Chain or they flip up that Skill Drain, they're revealing what their back row is, essentially. So instead of taking a gamble and picking a face-down back row, you know what you're going to get. You know that you're going to get a Fiendish Chain. You know that you're going to get a Skill Drain. So that's really nice because you get that guarantee on top of it, even though they don't realize that this card is, the tribute for this card is a cost. So you tribute it as a cost, and then you get the effect, and the effect resolves in the graveyard because the tribute is not part of the effect. So that is really, really nice. So that's it for my Super Heavy Samurai deck. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm Mirage Knight. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm really just doing this for fun, but it always helps to get my name out there. And I hope you guys like my videos in the future. I'll try to upload some more of them. I'll try to do at least 1 a week. But if you guys like Yu-Gi-Oh as much as me, I hope you'll like my videos. So hit that like button. Go check out the Illuminati. They're always watching. And I'll talk to you guys later. See you on the flip side.